Hey everyone, it's Sally with the Polka Dot Life. I hope that you have been enjoying our little series on holiday cards on the video and on the blog. And even if you aren't ready to make your holiday cards right now, I hope that you have been inspired to get in your craft room and make something and just enjoy yourself. And maybe bless others through your crafting. If you haven't received a copy of the new holiday mini catalog, I would love to send you one. If you don't have a demonstrator here in the United States, just hop on over to thepolkadotlife.com to request one. Today we are going to talk about snowman season, and I purposely haven't showed you the card that we're going to make today on the video. I don't want any beginning stamper to look at it and say, oh my goodness, I can't do that. It is super simple, but it's just so much fun. And I love that stamp set. It's so happy and jolly that it was in our catalog last year. And it was so popular that they decided to put it in the annual catalog this year. So let's hop on over to the craft desk and let's get started. To start out, I just want to remind you that all of the measurements for this card will be over on my blog post at thepolkadotlife.com, and I will link that in the description box below, so you don't need to worry anything about writing measurements down or those things as we go throughout making our card. We have our trimmer, and I'm going to kind of do this at the lazy way. You can do two different score lines, but I am just going to do mine by just turning it around. We're going to make sure that this dark blade is out of the way. That's the cutting blade. And we are just going to take the scoring blade at 2 3/4 of an inch. And then I am just going to flip my cardstock around rather than putting the arm out, because I'm kind of limited with my filming where I can do that. So we're going to do again on the other side at 2 3/4, and we're going to give that a score. Now, we're just going to, this is the purple posy cardstock, and we're just going to take that, and you want your bone folder, and you just, even though it's scored, you just kind of want to help guide to make sure that it is nice and straight, holding that bottom line together. And then over here, we're just going to do the same. We're going to start folding, but then we're going to make sure that bottom is aligned, but we're also going to make sure we want these edges to be even, and we want them to butt up against each other. So we're just going to hold that in place and push away with our bone folder, and then we're going to give that a crease. Now, if you have a little gap, it's fine, but you just want to try to get it the most even that you can. We're going to bring in some of our cute little snowflake paper or designer series paper, and you just want to look and see how you want your paper to go. I kind of like the darker edges on the outside. I think it kind of frames it in a little bit. We're going to bring our multi-purpose glue, slide this up, make sure we have this in frame a little bit better. We're just going to put a little bit of this glue. You don't need to like really go crazy with it. And we are going to glue our cardstock in place. And I think that most of all, you want to make sure that that edge is straight on this inside. You want them always to be as straight as we can, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. So if you start at one and you get that pretty straight, then usually the other ones follow suit. So we're going to just kind of make sure that we have about that same amount of gap at the bottom and the middle, just because you kind of want that to be even, of course. I mean, it should. It's measured equally. And I don't know if it's the humidity, but the last couple days, if I've been making cards, I've had a hard time sliding things, which you'd think since it's been so humid, it would be easier to do that. But you just want to kind of give everything a little rub then afterwards. And we're going to set this purple posy cardstock out of the way just for now. We have some stamping to do, and I'm going to bring in my mat because we're using a photopolymer stamp. And actually, let me show you this first, what stamps that we're using. We are using the Snowman Season set, and it is actually one that is carried over, and it is in the annual catalog and not in the holiday catalog. And then on one of my cards that you see, I'm using the Snowman Builder Punch, and it's just super cute, and it just cuts out all those pieces. So I'm going to show you that real quick. All right, let's bring our mat back in, bring our cardstock, and we are going to start by using our Memento Black ink. And I have mounted up this sweet little snowman today. And again, when I use my black Memento, I have re-inked it, but I think I probably need a new one. I just want to make sure it's black. So I gave it a little press and a little squiggle. So let's see here. Let's do it on this side. Oh, sorry. I think my printer is having a little moment here. But we're just going to let that transfer a minute. And then we're just going to let it dry for a quick second. I did not use Whisper White Thick. I just used regular Whisper White, even though we are going to use our Stampin' Blends on just a few little things. We're not going to be doing any back and forth coloring, so we can get away with it. And then we're going to bring our inside piece, and we're going to put this over here to dry. And then this is our inside piece. And we are going to use the sentiment that says, hoping this season builds heartwarming memories. And we're going to bring in our balmy blue ink. We do not have purple posy ink. We have markers, which we could write on our stamps and stamp with that. But we have the cardstock and lots of different accessories. So I wanted to use it because it doesn't get a lot of love. Even though this purple in this DSP is actually Highland Heather, we want to show our purple posy a little love. So there is that. Because we don't have any purple posy, I am going to use the Highland Heather, but somewhat of a little bit of workaround on that is we're going to ink up these snowflakes, and we're going to stamp off once and then bring it to our cardstock, and that gives it a little bit lighter of a hue. And just kind of accent that sentiment on the inside. Let's see here. I'm going to bring this in later, but let's just bring this in now. I'm going to bring in an envelope since we have this out. And let's kind of just show the envelope some love too. We're just going to partially stamp that. And you can do like I forgot to stamp off, so you can do both. And nobody is really gonna know the difference. And I smudged that up, so we're gonna just take that right over that. And if it gets any dirtier, they'll just think it happened in the mail. You know what, let's do this one a little more full strength. There, so I think that's cute. Let's turn our stamp. I just think that it's fun to decorate your envelopes a little bit. You know what, I got a little carried away. Let me clean this off and just show you that you don't need, in fact, on one of my other cards I did this, you don't need to ink up an entire stamp. You can just scoot it to the corner and just stamp one, and we can just put that right in there. How about that? So that is our cute little envelope. I think playing is fun, and just by doing that with stamping off with your ink, if you don't have a certain color, sometimes you can take a color that you do have and play with it so that you can get whatever shade that you need. So this one is dry now. And you know, actually we need to have the only blue back out. Forgot to stamp our sentiment on the front. That's not good. And this says, let it snow. And again, I need my mat. It just, sometimes these photopolymer stamps need a little bit of a cushion. And we're just going to scooch this over. And there we go. Let it snow. And I love fonts like this because sometimes if you don't get something exactly straight, like I don't feel like that one is, it's playful, and so you can get away with it. All right. So we are going to bring in this balmy blue, and we're just going to use this really, don't normally ever recommend using the tips, but this one you really do just need to touch this. This bigger one you might need to do it a few times more. But these are snowballs, so we want those to have a little bit of a blue hue to them. And you may even want to take your pen and just kind of give it a little scoot to straighten the ink back, or the tip of it back out. And then we are going to bring in our dark pumpkin pie. And what snowman would be complete without a little carrot nose? I think he's super sweet. You know, the more I look at that, let's give these little, these look like his ammunition pile. And so let's just give those snowballs a little bit blue color too. Perfect. Now it's really just a matter of assembling this card. This card looks a little fancy, and that's why I didn't show it to you first, because sometimes I think we can get intimidated by what something looks like. Let's take this and put our inside layer in. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue around the edges. It doesn't take a whole lot, but you do kind of want to make sure you're up against that edge. And you can tell I have inky fingers. I have painted fingers. We are painting our home right now, and we decided to do it ourselves. And so my husband is currently painting with a very kind of loud, clunky ladder. So if you hear anything, or if you hear any screams for mercy, that would be why. There. I just love this purple posy, and I'm sad that we couldn't, it was a manufacturing issue. And that's one thing I love about Stampin' Up! Is they pulled it from the line because it did not meet quality standards, and they tried, but they just couldn't get that formula right. And so they pulled it from the line because they don't want a substandard product going out to you all as consumers, or to me as a consultant and consumer, because I'm a consumer too. I was a consumer for over a year before I signed up to be a demonstrator. I took advantage of one of the specials that they had, and it's great with Stampin' Up! Because if you don't meet their quarterly minimums, which are low, then you just go back to being a consumer. Nobody shows up at your door and hassles you about not making your minimums. You just become a discount shopper, and you start out with a minimum of 20% off your products. And so that's a great thing. All right, and I just want to feel like I have a little bit of ridge there, maybe from when I cut it. I probably pushed too hard. So we're just going to give it a little bit of love. He is so cute. This set had gone over really popular. Everybody just really raved about making cards with it because it's so fun. Now this is going to go on here like this, but we aren't going to adhere it down just yet. I guess I don't need that anymore since I used my pad. I am going to bring in our tear and tape. I am bad when only one side gets glued down, and I always end up putting glue too far, and then it looks really bad. So we know that we only want glue on this side because the card has to open. So we are just going to flip this over, and this is going to serve a dual purpose for us. All right, we're going to pick our backing off with our Take Your Pick tool. There you go. And I am going to bring in our silicone sheet just because this can get kind of sticky. And, oh, sorry, a little noise. I had to put my ribbon in my desk drawer because our kitten, we refer to her as the Hot Mess Express, and she had gotten hold of this and was trying to steal it from me earlier. So I just took it from her. And we are just going to take, this is about that halfway point here. Let's do that. Just it does not have to be exact, but you want it to be a little bit close. And let's see, I want to make sure that the wrong side of this ribbon is facing up. Now we can just eyeball this. You can put some graph paper underneath here, that grid paper that we have to work with, if you are one that is going to bother if it's not right on the center, but eyeballing it is good for me. And then we are going to bring this back in, but that can get really sticky. That's why I wanted to put that mat down just in case. So let's see here. We want to not put this side down yet, but we want to just kind of look and make sure we have this about in the center where we want it to be. And we're going to give that a nice little rub. And that tear and tape is a super strong adhesive, and you do need that for a card that opens like this, and one that has ribbon on it, and one that's going to have some tension to it. So we do with our ribbon, and this ribbon is from our Playing with Patterns suite, I believe. And we're just going to bring this ribbon around. Well, maybe we will if I can tie it correctly. And I like to tie it and just make like a cross with it till I get it all straight, and of course make sure it's not twisted or anything, especially when you have this is really pale, but there is a definite front side and a back side to this, and this is hard for me to do away, so it's under the camera, but we're doing the best we can with old lady eyes here. And we're going to pull this through. Well, and this is so soft, and when I gave you the measurements for the ribbon, I was a little generous because of this. See that this is apparently didn't make sure that my ribbon was laid out the way I wanted it to be. I don't like working with small strings of ribbon to tie bows. And bows are just one of those things. You just have to fiddle and fuss with them a little bit. And like I say, I know sometimes depending on the ribbon, I use my bow easy sometimes because I know that's not my strength, and I know that it bothers me if my bows aren't good. But thank goodness we have the right tools for the right job. Okay. And I don't want to cut a whole lot off this side, especially since it's kind of running so short. And these are my bow scissors. And you know, I kind of want to do this. If you just fold your ribbons, put your edges together, your outside edges, and kind of, if you can pull it a little bit taut, and you just do that, then you kind of get that nice little pleated edge. Not pleated, but a V in there. I guess some people call it a V cut. And that's not quite even. So let's cut a little bit more, but you always want to, you know, be a little conservative because you can't go back and fix that if you cut too much off. And of course, once somebody opens it, then it's up to them to figure out how to put the bow back. But while we're sending it to somebody, we want our first presentation to be pretty. So that is just super sweet. And we'll just kind of tilt it a little bit so that you can read our sentiment. And let's see, for another little detail, let's bring in some of our adhesive backed snowflakes. And this is off the sheet that things are a little bit more of the Coastal Cabana and the balmy blue color. Let's put one here. Let's put one here. I like to do things in odd numbers, and these I usually do 3s or 5s, and I like to keep them in a triangle. It doesn't have to be a perfect, it can be one of those that are a little bit skewed, but still you want to be a triangle shape. And let's kind of maybe even bring this clear over to this side just to bring a little sparkle. So, you know, isn't that just fun? That just something that simple just adds a little bit of little cute bling to our card. But I love our little snowman that is all ready to go into battle with his snowballs and take on all the other neighborhood snowmen. So that is that one. I had so much fun. I made a few. This one, it's all from the same DSP card pack, and I just used the Coastal Cabana in this one and some balmy blue. And I think this is also from that Playing with Patterns set, that Coastal Cabana ribbon. And then I love the Seaside Spray. You all know that. So I just had to bring that in and show it a little bit of love. This Seaside Spray ribbon I had in my stash and I hadn't even used it yet. So I wanted to play with that. This is the Misty Moonlight. And then I took that Builder Punch, the Snowman Builder Punch, and I made our little snowman and just popped him up. And I did the insides all similar, except in this one, I did put a colored card lace layer underneath there because of it being a white card. I just wanted an extra layer in there just to perk it up a little bit. So I did the cardstock and then a white layer on top of that and stamped it just the same. As always, I thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed it. And remember to be kind, send a card, and do something creative. Bye-bye.